Just a reminder, you're not hearing things. This is a live Infowarrior. October 8th, Thursday, 2009. We're going to take your calls, 888-201-2244. So if you're just listening right now or you're passing through the dial, yes, we are live. We're about to go to this video, again, of this gentleman who calls the police. He says, "Please help me. I've got somebody with a gun in my home." And the police come and they shoot him 6 times. And then that's not enough. They admit they screw up on the 911 call, but they still drag him outside, bleeding, and throw him on the hood of the car. Thank God he survived. He's suing for $5 million. I feel like he should be suing for $25 million, and he should get every last penny of it. All right, let's hit the clip.
Newly obtained 911 tapes reveal what really happened.
We're having some technical difficulties here. All right, here we are. We're ready to go now.
The night police shot a Valley man inside his own home. A man who says he was trying to stop a crime, and instead, he says, ended up being the victim of one. Tony Arambula is filing a civil lawsuit against the police, claiming they shot the wrong guy. 3TV's Ryan O'Donnell joins us live with the story. Ryan?
Yeah, Beverly, Arambula's attorney says Tony did all the right things, but was still shot by the police because the officers didn't communicate the situation with each other. Now, tonight, we get to hear firsthand what happened in that house back on September 17th, 2008. I'd just like to warn you, what you're about to hear is pretty graphic. So 35-year-old Tony Arambula, his wife Leslie, and their 2 kids have changed forever after an intruder with a gun breaks into their home. This is the call he made to 911.
What's the emergency?
I just got gunshots through my window.
Is anybody hurt in your house?
I don't know yet, but I have 2 kids here.
According to his attorney, Tony already had his gun and was now holding the intruder at gunpoint while on the phone, and when the police entered his home.
What's going on, sir?
Oh my God!
Sir, what's happening?
I'm a homeowner.
Tony was shot 6 times, according to his lawyer, twice when he was on the ground.
I can't believe this is happening to me.
Police then spotted the real intruder.
Get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here right now! Get out of here right now! Get out of here right now!
The operator calls back. In the background, you can hear Tony, convinced he wasn't going to make it, screaming his goodbye. It goes quiet. Then the officers admit they had made a mistake. Tony is alive, but according to his attorney, has gone through several surgeries to repair body parts that have been damaged by the bullets. The Arambulas are asking for more than $5 million in damages. We contacted the city of Phoenix about the lawsuit, but we're told they wouldn't have a statement until tomorrow morning. I'm Ryan O'Donnell, 3TV.
So if you're not satisfied with that over-the-top, out-of-control, shoot him 6 times police behavior, they go into a man's home and they're like, yeah, we'll shoot him 6 times. Why not, right? And they don't even shoot the real criminal. They shot him twice while he was on the ground. They failed to mention that they also dragged him outside bleeding and threw him on the top of the cop car. Not only should these guys lose their jobs, they may, I don't know if you might want to prosecute somebody that shoots the homeowner. I don't know. I do know that he deserves every penny of his $5 million lawsuit. But if that didn't whet your thirst for police brutality and out-of-control behavior, why don't we go to this clip of a disabled student, somebody who went to this learning center, changed schools because he had a head injury when he was younger and he needed special attention. Now, he didn't go by school dress code. He was wearing a baggy shirt. Well, you just see this cop throw his coffee down. I'm going to put my coffee down. Grabs the kid, throws him into a locker, grabs him from the locker. It's punching in the face time. and throws him on the ground, full mount, ground and pound style. Do we have that clip ready? Can we hit it? Let's go for it.
The next, he says he was thrown against the lockers, then to the ground by a police officer. What happened? You're about to see the video for yourself. 2 investigator Dave Savini has the story of a painful lesson.
Security cameras are about to capture the beating of this 15-year-old special education student by a police officer.
So he was shouting at you and he was swearing at you?
Yeah.
Marshawn Pitts says the officer started by verbally abusing him because his shirt wasn't tucked in.
I was tucking my shirt in.
But it's what happens next after the officer puts down his coffee that had Marshawn Pitts worried for his life.
It was just like, boom.
He says he was blindsided by the officer, thrown into lockers, and struck repeatedly.
Where did he hit you?
He hit me like right here, and boom.
Watch as he gets slammed to the ground, his face smashed into the floor.
It still has a bump.
Right here.
His nose was broken.
Were you bleeding? Did you know it was your face?
All this was like all on the outside. My mouth was busted.
Violent and unnecessary treatment, he says, considering he was attending the Academy for Learning in Dalton for students like him with special education needs. When he was younger, he suffered a brain injury and now has a learning disability.
So this school was for students with special needs?
Uh-huh.
And they were supposed to help you and understand your situation?
Yeah, but instead I got beaten on by the police.
The officer was in his face because he didn't have his shirt tucked in.
Ed Mansky is Marshawn's attorney.
And that's the officer put in that school to protect these kids. And instead of doing that, this officer is literally assaulting this kid.
That's a big officer, too.
The officer in question was a Dalton police officer, and the hold he puts Marshawn in can be a dangerous one.
He's on top of this
Right.
young man, okay?
Right.
That's called a face-down takedown.
Yes.
This type of
Typically,
physical
face-down
restraint
takedown
has
is
killed
when
students, says Zena Nadic from Equipped for Equality, a legal advocacy group that fights for the rights of people with disabilities.
It's called a face-down takedown.
A face-down takedown.
Takedown, and kids often, and adults, die because they can't breathe.
This government accounting office report was released in May, just one day before the officer's use of the hold on Marshawn. The GAO study found face-down takedowns led to at least 20 deaths nationwide. Currently, 8 states prohibit the use of this hold. Illinois is not one of them.
So we don't actually know how common these incidents are, and that's outrageous.
I couldn't breathe.
Were you begging him to stop?
Yeah, I was like, let me up.
He's getting a beating, and he's getting a beating on an issue that has nothing to do with danger. It has to do with dress code.
No one from the Academy of Learning in Dalton would talk to us about the alleged abuse. The Dalton Police Department and the mayor of Dalton did not return our phone calls. Marshawn Pitts' attorney, Ed Mansky, says he's transferred to another school and is planning to file a lawsuit. The State Board of Education says no one from the school reported the use of forceful restraint to them, Rob.
You know, a lot of times when we see video, you hear somebody say, well, you didn't see the whole video, you didn't see the whole story. Has anybody explained why somebody with his shirt untucked would face that kind of beating?
No explanation at all, Rob. We're waiting to hear that. We did get the video, but no one's talking about it.
All right, well, if somebody decides to talk, I'm sure you'll let us know. Thanks a lot, Dave. Well,
and if you're not watching right now live over at prisonplanet.tv, the young man seemed to be wearing a polo. I mean, it was a black polo. He had a white T-shirt underneath. It was a little bit below the waist. But I didn't know you're supposed to tuck in your polo now. I mean, what is wrong with these outrageous restraints on human beings throughout? You're looking at schools, they're banning hooded sweatshirts, hoodies in malls now. I could bring that video clip up. In fact, we might look for that on YouTube. Just type in banned hoodies in malls. They're going to tell you what to wear, how to act, and that's why they want these behavior scanning cameras all over the place. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security, there's a lot of news out there right now of the new cameras that they're putting in airports. But what they're not telling you is that scientists have altered the Wii board to show how people shift their weight and commence studies on whether certain levels of fidgety would require a secondary screening. That's right. They're taking video game technology and they're implementing it into a police state style usage. The Wii board is now being used by DHS to find out whether you're a terrorist. And you're a terrorist, trust me. I mean, if you read any of these MIAC reports, you believe in the Constitution, you listen into this show, you believe in the Bill of Rights, you watch Loose Change, you support Ron Paul, you got a bumper sticker that says, don't tread on me. Guess what? You're a terrorist. And they'll manipulate the language. They'll use semantics. You're a domestic threat. It all means the same thing. You're a slave, bow down. And, let's talk about biometrics a little, because yesterday on Google, I found it quite disgusting that when you went to google.com, there was just a barcode there, and they were celebrating how great barcodes were and the history of barcodes. Well, check this out. Biomagnetics Diagnostic Corporation appoints Charles Gregor de Rothschild special advisor to the board. But the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers love you. They've only got their mitts in all sorts of global government programs and all sorts of think tanks for the elite, into the banking system, and now into the biometrics industry.